There exists a psychological bond that transcends ordinary relationship dynamics. It's an invisible contract between two archetypal forces, one who must be seen in order to exist, and one who believes that love possesses the power to heal anything. In this unspoken exchange, the narcissist survives through the reflection provided by the empath, and the empath, guided by an endless well of compassion, unknowingly becomes the architect of an illusion that keeps both souls imprisoned. But what happens when the empath, the eternal healer and believer in redemption, finally stops playing along? In that precise moment, something extraordinary begins to unfold. The narcissist's carefully constructed world doesn't just crack, it shatters. The mirror that once reflected their carefully curated image suddenly goes dark, and through those fractures another face begins to appear. Raw, unguarded, painfully real. This is the moment the narcissist begins to face what they have spent their entire life hiding from. To understand what truly emerges when this mask falls away, we must first understand what the mask actually is. The persona, as understood in depth psychology, represents the face each of us presents to the world. It's a functional identity that helps us navigate society while maintaining connection to our authentic self. For a psychologically healthy individual, this mask remains flexible. It shifts when needed, but stays rooted in an inner foundation of truth. For the narcissist, however, this structure serves an entirely different purpose. The persona is not a tool. It is a fortress, an artificial self meticulously constructed to hide unbearable feelings of inadequacy and existential fear. Every display of charm, every accomplishment showcased, every moment of apparent confidence has been carefully engineered to protect the fragile self they cannot bear to acknowledge. This mask becomes their only reality, and their psychological survival depends entirely on keeping it pristine and intact. Beneath this polished surface lives a constant terror of exposure. The narcissist's entire sense of worth is built on external validation. Compliments, admiration, control over others. These are not luxuries for them. They are psychological oxygen. Without this constant external feedback, the false identity they have constructed begins to destabilize. It's not simply that they enjoy attention. They need it to maintain their sense of existing at all. For the empath, this dynamic often begins with the purest intentions. You notice their wounds and respond with natural compassion. Your intuitive nature makes you the perfect audience for their performance. You see their potential, the person they could become, and you give without measure. Reassurance, understanding, forgiveness. In doing so, you become their most essential mirror. Your belief in them reinforces the illusion they've built. Your very presence becomes the silent agreement that keeps their mask firmly in place. Each time you soothe their insecurity or minimize their cruelty, you unknowingly strengthen the psychological wall that separates them from their authentic self. But a moment inevitably arrives when something changes within you. It may not be dramatic. Often, it is quiet, even calm. You stop responding the way you used to. You stop explaining, fixing, defending. You begin to see the pattern with devastating clarity, and you refuse to play your part in it anymore. This subtle shift is not just noticed by the narcissist. It is felt at the deepest level of their psyche as a fundamental threat to their existence. When your emotional energy no longer supports their illusion, the mask begins its inevitable disintegration. What follows this withdrawal is not simple frustration. It is psychological panic of the most profound kind. The entire system that once kept their inner world together starts to fail catastrophically. Without your participation, the false self has nothing to anchor it, nothing to stabilize its structure. They may feel exposed, ashamed, and enraged all at once. This reaction is not logical. It is instinctive, primal, desperate. Your withdrawal has triggered their most deeply buried fear, that without constant control and admiration, they are nothing. Empty. The narcissist perceives your new clarity not as personal growth or independence, but as the ultimate betrayal. The calm truth of your detachment becomes the most dangerous force in their world, because it reveals what they have always known, but never allowed themselves to consciously face. Their entire identity is built on manufactured illusion. This is the moment when the real psychological war begins. The narcissist can no longer maintain the careful separation between their false image and the reality you now clearly see. They will attempt to restore control through any means available. Emotional outbursts designed to shock you back into compliance. Guilt that targets your empathic nature. Denial that rewrites history entirely. Manipulation so calculated it feels almost artistic. What you are witnessing in these desperate attempts is not strength, it is the thrashing of a drowning psyche. The mask is cracking, and through those widening cracks, the truth of who they actually are begins to emerge. It is simultaneously the beginning of their unraveling and the first step toward your liberation. When the narcissist's persona shatters under the weight of your awakened perception, a terrifying psychological reality becomes visible. The concept of the shadow represents the vast unconscious repository of everything we have repressed, disowned, and refused to acknowledge. It is the hidden realm where our deepest fears, our secret shames, our unexpressed rage, and our most unbearable truths reside in darkness. For most individuals, the journey toward psychological wholeness involves slowly and deliberately integrating their shadow material. But for the narcissist, the shadow is not merely a collection of unflattering traits or uncomfortable truths. It is primordial terror itself, a monstrous entity they have spent their entire existence caging, denying, and violently projecting onto everyone around them. They cannot bear to own their darkness, so they compulsively see it everywhere except within themselves, using you as the most convenient screen for their disowned parts. But now the persona has fractured beyond repair. The armor, once so formidable and impenetrable, can no longer contain the psychological pressure building from within. This allows the shadow to leak through like poison, an overwhelming tide of denied emotion threatening to completely engulf the narcissist. The shame they cannot name, the fear of worthlessness they cannot allow themselves to feel. The desperate hunger for genuine love they dare not admit exists. All these unbearable truths press closer, demanding recognition and integration. This is the ultimate catastrophe for the narcissist. It exposes their deep-seated feelings of inadequacy, not as a distant theoretical threat, but as the very ground of their being. They are pushed to the edge of what feels like psychic death, a confrontation with the vast, shrieking emptiness that lies beneath their gilded facade. In this moment of profound terror and psychological collapse, the narcissist unleashes desperate and often volatile reactions. These are not rational responses. They are the frantic thrashing of a cornered psyche, attempting to restore the old familiar order at any cost. They may engage in furious rage, a torrent of psychic violence designed to shock you, intimidate you, and force you back into your role as their validating mirror. This anger is a tantrum against reality itself, a ferocious lashing out against the truth your very existence now embodies. Alternatively, they may retreat completely, disappearing into a world of fantasy and self-imposed isolation, attempting to escape the intolerable internal void. They vanish from your life entirely, hoping that by removing themselves from your sight, they can also somehow disappear from the horrifying truth of their own emptiness. An equally insidious strategy is calculated reinvention. The narcissist, may suddenly appear to transform, offering grand declarations of remorse, promising fundamental change, or presenting what seems like a genuinely better version of themselves. This is a strategic gambit, a new mask designed with chilling precision to lure you back into the familiar cycle of appeasement and narcissistic supply. They will appeal directly to your empathy, to your shared history, and to your natural desire for a positive resolution. All of it carefully calculated to re-establish the dynamic they so desperately need to psychologically survive. Yet regardless of the strategy employed, whether rage retreat or calculated reinvention, the underlying reality remains stark and unchangeable. Without your steady, complicit reflection, the narcissist stands before a mirror that no longer lies. This unblinking mirror reveals their authentic, unadorned self, stripped completely bare of all protective illusions. While the narcissist cycles through these desperate transformations, something profound begins happening within you. Your withdrawal is not mere absence, it is a sacred threshold crossing. For too long you inhabited confining archetypal roles that bound you to another's needs. The eternal healer constantly tending to their perceived wounds, the sacrificial one giving endlessly without reciprocation, the mirror of redemption believing your love could somehow transform their fundamental darkness. Now you are stepping out of these imprisoning roles and into the unknown territory of self-definition. A space where your worth is not determined by service to another, but by the undeniable truth of your own inherent being. The ancient myths speak of heroes who at crucial junctures must leave behind their companions to face the dark forest alone. What these stories subtly reveal is that some of those companions were never true allies at all, but enchantments specifically designed to keep the hero from discovering their own power. The narcissist was precisely such an enchantment. They skillfully wove a narrative where your constant presence and endless giving were essential not just for them, but for your own sense of purpose and identity. To step away from this dynamic is to break that binding spell, to reclaim the power that was always authentically yours. This is where Carl Jung, empath, and personal development intersect most powerfully. The psychological work you are now doing represents true individuation, the process of becoming who you actually are, rather than who you were, conditioned to be in service of another's fragile ego. As time creates distance between you and the narcissist, the unconscious mind of both individuals begins profound work. For the empath, dreams become a training ground for sovereignty. You might dream of methodically closing and locking a door on a familiar figure, walking away from a house that crumbles behind you without looking back, calmly disconnecting a phone that rings incessantly with manipulative demands. These are not anxiety dreams. They are dreams of reclaimed agency. Your psyche is practicing and reinforcing the conscious decision to disengage, building new psychological muscles of self-protection that were atrophied from disuse. In waking life, this phase often brings confusing phantom pains, sudden waves of guilt, a lingering sense of misplaced responsibility. These feelings are not signs of weakness. They are withdrawal symptoms of a nervous system recalibrating itself after years of conditioning to be on constant high alert. As separation solidifies in your unconscious, your dreams shift dramatically. Defense and withdrawal give way to exploration and joyful rediscovery. You dream of discovering beautiful new rooms in your own house, symbolizing untapped potential and forgotten aspects of your identity. You find lost personal belongings, a childhood toy, a musical instrument you once loved, a set of paintbrushes gathering dust. These represent the return of your innate creativity, your capacity for joy, your authentic interests that were systematically minimized. Water imagery becomes common during this phase. swimming in clear, clean water, navigating a calm sea with confidence. These symbolize emotional cleansing and a return to natural flow and clarity. The energy once expended on managing the narcissist's moods is now being redirected inward, fueling genuine self-repair and organic growth. For the narcissist, the unconscious journey moves in the opposite direction entirely. Their dreams become a theater of psychological horror, reflecting the deep-seated fears they can no longer successfully project onto someone else. They dream of public humiliation, of being naked in crowds with everyone pointing and laughing, of standing on a stage to give a grand speech only to forget every single line as the audience turns hostile, of looking into a mirror and watching their mask physically crack and fall away, revealing either nothing or something monstrous underneath. These dreams are the direct symbolic expression of the collapse of their inflated self-image. Without your validating reflection, the narcissist's unconscious is forcing them to witness the very reality they have spent their life desperately avoiding. That without external admiration, their sense of self simply dissolves into terrifying emptiness. By the time you reach this stage of psychological development, something fundamental has shifted in your being. Surviving the final intense period of manipulation from the narcissist is more than an achievement. It is a profound initiation. The process that follows is not about recovering or returning to who you were before. The person you were before no longer exists. That version of you served its purpose and has been transformed through fire. The path forward involves conscious psychological integration. This is the process of developing into a more complete, authentic, and unified individual. The difficult experiences you endured despite their painful nature have initiated a powerful phase of personal evolution. To heal in this context means to incorporate the hard-won insights from the experience and to fully become an independent, self-governing individual. A primary component of this new state of being is the development of stable internal observation capacity. This goes beyond simple emotional distance. It involves establishing a calm, unyielding core of awareness within yourself. This awareness functions as an anchor, allowing you to observe your own thoughts and emotions without being overwhelmed or consumed by them. When grief arises, you can acknowledge its presence, experience its waves, and simultaneously understand that it is a temporary feeling passing through you, not the totality of your identity. This internal observation fundamentally alters your relationship with the lasting impact of the narcissistic interaction. The previous perceptions, distorted narratives, and negative projections from the narcissist lose their power to cause harm because you no longer identify with them. These external influences become observed, psychological occurrences, patterns of a disordered psyche that can be understood with detached compassion, but they are no longer mistaken for personal truth about who you are. From this secure foundation, the essential work of establishing clear, conscious boundaries begins. The boundaries you develop now differ profoundly from any previous attempts to create limits. Earlier efforts might have been reactive defenses against ongoing intrusion, porous and constantly negotiated. These new boundaries are calm, definitive statements of personal space and limits. They originate not from fear or anger, but from deep self-respect and understanding. The most powerful expression of this new boundary system is the ability to use the word "no" as a complete sentence. For someone who has established this level of internal autonomy, no is not an apology. It is not an opening for negotiation or justification. It is not a desperate attempt to be understood or validated. It is simply a complete and sufficient statement in itself. It represents calm, firm, peaceful alignment with your personal truth. The deepest healing involves integration of all aspects of yourself, including traits this challenging experience brought into conscious awareness. A core element is the transformation of empathy itself. Before this experience, your empathy may have functioned as an unconscious, permeable trait. Like absorbent material, it readily took in the emotional states of everyone nearby, leaving you burdened by emotions that were never actually yours to carry. This unconscious empathy made you vulnerable. It absorbed the narcissist's disowned pain, projected anger, and unacknowledged shame without full awareness of the psychological cost. Now, having established firm internal boundaries, you transform this porous empathy into a focused and potent ability. Empathy does not disappear from your nature. It becomes conscious, refined, and highly discerning. This transformed empathy does not absorb negative emotional states. Instead, it provides clarity and insight into them without personal contamination. This represents the full flowering of Carl Jung empath and personal development. You can now direct the light of your empathy to understand another's struggles, to recognize the underlying reasons for their behavior, and to experience appropriate compassion for their pain, all without internalizing their destructive patterns or taking responsibility for their healing. You can observe emotional turmoil in another person while remaining firmly centered within your own internal stability. This is conscious empathy, a powerful tool for understanding and discernment that simultaneously protects you from the manipulations you experienced before. There is also the recognition and appropriate use of personal anger. In many contexts, those who have been wounded are encouraged to remain passive, gentle, and endlessly forgiving. However, the reclamation of authentic, appropriate anger is actually a profound act of self-preservation and self-love. The anger that emerges in this healing process is not the destructive, chaotic anger of a fragile ego. That type of anger is unfocused, harmful, and ultimately self-defeating. This newly recognized anger is contained, directed, and fundamentally constructive. It is a life-affirming energy that arises from deep within to protect your well-being and boundaries. It functions as an internal defense system, activating with clear purpose to neutralize any threat to your psychological integrity. This appropriate anger is the force that finally disconnects the remaining energetic ties to the past manipulative relationship. This disconnection is not born of hatred or vengeance. It comes from a powerful and definitive assertion of your own autonomy and right to exist free from psychological intrusion. It is a living declaration that says, without apology or explanation, I choose the truth of my own life over the comfortable illusion of yours. Emerging from this transformative experience, you are not a flawless or invulnerable person. You are a whole and integrated one. There is a palpable sense of internal stability that makes it extraordinarily difficult for you to be influenced by the chaotic behaviors of others. A discerning capacity develops operating beneath conscious thought, an intuitive understanding that senses manipulation and calculated insincerity from considerable distance. You develop a decreased tolerance for unnecessary conflict and drama, and a strong natural preference for relationships built on genuine mutual respect, authentic emotional exchange, and fundamental honesty. The narcissist's original goal was to leave you feeling broken, diminished, and overlooked. However, the unexpected result is that in their determined attempts to cause psychological harm, they unintentionally became the catalyst for your truest development and awakening. They forced you into an intensely challenging alchemical process, fully expecting you to be destroyed by it. What they could not anticipate was that you would emerge transformed, embodying the autonomous, sovereign person you were always capable of becoming. This is the ultimate expression of Carl Jung empath and personal development, the completion of the individuation process through the integration of shadow material and the establishment of genuine psychological autonomy. The most liberating insight into this entire dynamic is elegantly simple, yet profoundly transformative. The narcissist's power exists only through your active participation in their carefully constructed illusion. Every manipulative tactic they employ depends fundamentally on one thing: your belief that they can actually reach into your inner world and define your reality. The precise moment you withdraw that belief, their entire psychological structure begins its inevitable collapse. Without your energy sustaining it, the illusion fades and eventually dies completely. Their final desperate acts of manipulation are not demonstrations of strength or power. They are the panic of a psyche suddenly exposed and vulnerable through your clear awareness. These individuals are not powerful predators stalking the vulnerable. They are frightened children trapped in adult bodies, absolutely terrified of the emptiness that exists within them. Seeing this truth clearly does not excuse their harmful behavior. It frees you from its power. When you recognize their manipulation for exactly what it is, a desperate performance by a fragmented psyche, it loses all power to define you, diminish you, or control your emotional reality. And that is precisely who the narcissist truly becomes when the empath finally stops playing along. Powerless before your awareness, invisible without your reflection, a fading echo of an illusion that no longer has any hold over the truth of who you are. Your choice to step away calm and unwavering represents the purest form of freedom available to the human psyche. Every ending made in full awareness is simultaneously a beginning in truth. The journey toward complete psychological sovereignty has only just begun, and the path ahead is yours alone to walk.